Previously, an idiot bought a tractor, or two halves of a tractor. Then I did this, and then a little of that, and one thing led to another, and that led to another, and well, what I'm trying to say is, it ran. Well, fellas, it's about time to get this thing out in the pasture. To do that, we've got to put on a one-wire alternator, do a little wiring. We need to put on the bracket before we do that. And we need to put on the fuel tank with petcocks. First thing we got to do is wrestle the old hood off of it. Let's see. Okay. This can be fun by yourself, especially with a fuel tank in it. Oh boy. Would you believe it? I have lost the hardware kit for this, somewhere between pulling it out and painting it. Anyways, what I got to do is pull this bolt here out, get these two little tabs off, and pull these two head bolts out. Not crazy about having to pull the head bolts, but I'm going to do that real quick. It's like Old Faithful. Using the stock bolt and a washer to shim the distance between this guy and that guy, we're going to pop this guy on here, put the nut on, and leave it on there loose. Well, somewhere in there is the hole. Oh, there it is. Okay, I have drained the rest of the coolant, which looked like septic tank water. Sprayed brake clean down these holes for a while, let it dry out. Make sure that when I put my hucky puck on these head bolts, after I clean them up, they're pretty spotless clean. That when I put my really nice right stuff on there, it will seal the hole. So I'm just going to put a pretty liberal coat of this stuff on it, and hopefully have no head bolt leaks. Alright, I'm going to take my eBay one-wire alternator. I've actually had pretty good luck with them. I bought this same one for some hot rods, and they work pretty good. They work a lot better than a stock type generator setup would. Now I'm putting a spacer in here to take up this slack. And by spacer, I just mean a washer. Okay, I've got everything loose right now except for this guy. Put my belt on like that, and we'll get the next piece. Now I know you fellas ain't gonna believe what I gotta tell you. I can't win a coin toss, you know what I mean? Figured out real quick my little bracket here. This guy was upside down. The geometries were not gonna work. So, fortunately my silicone was still nice and wet. Popped it out, flipped it over, and tightened it back up. So, now we can proceed. Last step is this fella. Gonna put this guy on here, just loose. Once I get all the bolts in, I'm gonna go through there and snug everything up off camera so y'all don't have to watch the boring stuff. Don't need y'all fast forwarding through all my stuff. Alrighty then, get my lock nut on. Unless I deserve it, of course. That was relatively simple. Belt alignment's not flawless, but what do you expect from a $39 kit? Close enough to work though. Now we've got to move on to wiring the thing up. Next on the old to-do list is going to be to run a ground from the case to something like that, another good ground, and then to run a power wire up through here where I've got this power wire for the distributor kind of loosely zip tied. Okay, interrupted by an angry hen. Anyways, gonna run a main charge wire straight to the battery positive, and then kind of fix this spaghetti wiring. Our positive cable's about 8 feet longer than it needs to be, so I'm gonna kind of just tidy everything up. So I got me a new charge wire built up. We're just gonna run it over here to the alternator. Just do these little zip ties where I got the other wire run. Kind of helps keep them bunched up together before I can get them all taped. Go under the little bracket here. Keep it off the, probably zip tie it to the back of this. Keep it off the exhaust. And straight down here to this little fella. Well, we're about done with this. Last thing I want to do is do a delete on that nasty thing. See, the wire's all brown. Then we're going to go ahead and pop us a new one on. Alright, so a real quick review. Got my new wires run from the alternator, along with the wire to the distributor. Snaggled up around here. 2 new battery post terminals on there. The screwdriver stuck in them so they don't fall. Ran new wire to the ignition post, which is right there. Starts it. And then a second wire to the your main power source. I didn't wrap this harness with tape for this back half here because we're eventually going to replace this headlight switch and add headlights, and those wires will go in that harness, so we'll do that later. I need to install this cat to the carburetor and to those bolts there. That's your air filtration system. All right, we're gonna stuff the old air filter assembly on here. It's an oil bath type. I could clean it, but I gotta get this machine on the road. Well, next on the list is putting this in this. This is really quite simple. Just a matter of 2 bolts, 2 bolts. I guess that would make it 4 bolts, huh? This is hard to do by yourself. Well, I've just got a few things to wrap up, and then we'll revisit finding out if this thing will run or not. A couple things I got to do. Got to adjust the clutch. She's got a good solid 2.5 inches of travel before it does anything. So I got to adjust this. Whoop! Got to replace some cotter pins. It's missing one there. Put some coolant in it. And then I have to get a fitting for the gasolator and then pop that up into the bottom of the fuel tank. Put the little cap thing on there. And we'll see if she runs here in a little bit. So I've about got her all buttoned up, but right now I'm working on trying to get this linkage adjusted out. This goes in there. We're getting down to the final nitty gritties. Got the air filter box in, the connector tube for the air intake. What a pain in the butt that is. I've got my gasolator valve in, fuel line run. That's probably not gonna seal real well, it's real old. I did a little greasy on the front end, everything that I could. Anyways, do some more later. I got this guy freed up. It moves real easy. Got the clutch travel kind of about where it needs to be. O'Reilly's anti-froze. Find out if we just pour this right back out on the ground. Oh boy. Okay. Move the battery cable. Oh man, come on. I know you can fit. Well, now we've come to the time of the show where we do the lipstick on the pig routine. Starting with, if I can get this package open, a brand new steering wheel. So we're gonna pop that on. Off camera, I'll see what I can do about tightening that nut. Hopefully the new splines on this will kind of, you're all waiting for this. Ford tractors. Any one of you fellas who have spent any length of time bouncing around on one of these old metal seats, already know what I'm talking about. They're hard on the butt. Look at this. Ford tractor. Well, it's cold, below 50. Not sure exactly what the temperature is, but spitting rain, great weather. I got her outside, got her gassed up, and I guess it's time to find out if she will run and drive. Got my gas later on here. My fuel hose is not the right size. It's a little stiff and it's oversized, so we're probably going to leak. Well, she's filling up. Seat's still warm from it being inside. All right, ignition is on. Give her just a little choke. See what happens. Well, that was something. PTO's engaged. It's running, definitely needs some more piddling. That clattering is that fan is just barely touching that bracket. Probably let that self-clearance go. There's not really much point in adjusting the carburetor today when it's less than 50 degrees. And I'm going to be operating it at like 80, 90 degrees, you know, pulling a brush hog with a load on it. So get it to just idle okay, and we'll drive back to the barn. Well, let's drive her to the barn. Try a second. I'll admit, I hear a little knocking. Hard to do with one hand. We'll find out real quick once we get a brush hog on here. Get a load on it, exactly what kind of machine she is. She can run, she can work fine. We're going to pull the motor out and rebuild it. The top of the hood is kind of squished down a little bit, so the lid hits the gas cap, so that's alright. We'll address that later. Could use a radiator cap that's spitting a little bit of antifreeze down the front. It's moving though. Well, on our little test run yesterday, I made a few observations. A couple of them important, a couple of them, no big deal. Primarily, number one source of concern is that there's no first or third gear. Like, there's no grinding or anything like that. It's just like they ain't there. It's like there's no gate for it. So I think that's a problem with the shift rail. I'll show you that in a minute. Second off is the hydraulics won't go up. I think it's probably low fluid level because I remember when I very first started it, they went up and they'll stay in the up position. They don't bleed off. It just won't go back up after I dropped it. We'll take a gander here at the transmission gearing assembly and the shift fork assembly. This guy here is our shifter, goes down in the transmission, and this stuff here is attached to this plate when you pull it out. Now, second and fourth work fine, which is this guy. The way this works, this thing slides forwards and backwards. Specifically, this is the first and third gear deal. Now, this thing isn't moving at all. So, showing the other picture as well, there's a spring with the retainer, a detent ball, that pops into these notches on this shaft. and that's what allows it to move forwards and backwards. And I'm getting no movement whatsoever. This thing will not move. Well, now that I've got kind of a rough idea what could be the problem, let's load up the tools and go figure it out. Well, the fella got the oil changed. It's not too bad, didn't hardly find any silver. We'll find out if she starts here shortly, but I want to show you what we're dealing with right here. All right, this is the neutral range. We've got reverse, we've got fourth, we have second. Those are all on these two are on the same shift range, so we got both them gears. Come over here to first or third, absolutely nothing. Well, I guess the judgment day has come. Got the last bolt almost all the way out. Keep an eye out for springy thingies. And we'll find out together what all's wrong and what all ain't. Well, let's have us a gander in here. First thing I notice is that does not look very much like gear oil. And it has consistency more of water. Like it's got a lot of condensation, a little water mixed in. See a little bit of rust on the gears. Not bad. I don't see any broken teeth or anything like that in it, but see this shaft right here? It runs right across the middle of your screen. That whole thing should move. And right there, center of your shot, see that little groove? I can't point it out because I'm holding the camera. There's a little check ball underneath that spring, and it bounces in and out of those grooves. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop this check ball spring out. It's all rusty. I assume water got down in it because this gasket is just munched. Oh yeah, that check ball is big water rust. Anyways, I'm gonna try to slide that and we'll see if it slides. There's a possibility it will with the spring being out, but I don't know. Yep, that is 100% our problem. That should freely move. Well, I've been soaking penetrating oil in there and on both ends of this shaft. And I've been going through a tappy tap routine. It sounds like the shaft itself is freed up, at least on this right hand side of your shot. What I want to do is just see if I can get the shaft to budge a little. If I can get the shaft to budge a little, then I know that we'll be able to win this deal pretty easy. I think it's going to move okay. And it budged a little. I don't know if you saw that or not. See if I can tap it back. Trying to hold it steady as I can, but that's kind of difficult. Let's see. There you go. Well, the fella got her to move a little bit. I filled up the spring pocket hole with penetrating oil, and I've got to go to my grandson Alex's birthday party. So that'll be 2 or 3 hours. He can just sit here and kind of work a little bit and maybe a little ball, get it to come back up. It's already moved if that shaft has moved, so I'll just let her sit there and work for a while. And 4 or 5 hours have passed, and I've got this shaft, you know, loosened up real good. It slides nice and smooth. This is replicating my spring. Check ball, I can actually see the rust has dissolved. This is how it's supposed to work. Right now it's in the neutral where it was stuck. It should go forward, back to neutral, and back. So I can move it with 2 fingers now. You see this bouncing? That's when the check ball moves up and down. Next up on the list is going to be to get down there and pull all the drain plugs and drain out that what is supposed to be gear oil. Well, I think that pretty well explains why the hydraulic / gear oil is white. That's straight water right there. All right, got to put the camera down. Well, you're just going to have to excuse the rather sloppy application of sealant because I lost the tip for my dilly whopper. So, I have my check ball spring back in it. I have a rather liberal coating of Pucky Puck on it. And we're going to try to ease this back into the hole. Hopefully have all our gears. I'm confident that we will. Getting it to drop into the slot there can be not fun. All right, here we go. Excellent. Now I put 900 bolts in there. Let's get a few of them started. Well, we have graduated back to having a 4-speed instead of a 3-speed. Well, I guess that would have been a 2-speed. These were the only 2 gears we had. Now, hard for you to see that, but we got 4 gears and a reverse. Well, I do believe it's about this time. Went and bought some of the hydraulical waters, and that stuff's expensive. It's like almost 150 bucks. That's almost half what I paid for the tractor. See how much of this I can spill. Hopefully not any. Well, it's time to see how well she runs. Got a new radiator cap too. Make sure she's in neutral. She's full of gear oil. It's hot outside, so probably won't need much of a choke. Boy, she runs good. I guess now we find out if we got hydraulics or not. Okay. PTO's doing its thing. Come on. Come on, Lady Luck. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Yes. She's just really running good. Now I want to see if we actually got first and third. Whoa, definitely got the first. Now we gotta back up. Alright, now we'll try third. Sweet! We are winning today. I shouldn't say that, huh? So far, I'm really impressed with how she runs. I mean, I've really done no tuning or adjusting at all. I didn't put plugs in it. That's from leaving the plug out in the bottom. It's plugged up now. Just remarkable that a machine this old just wants to run. This was a parts tractor a couple months ago. Hooked up. See what kind of damage we can do. boys and girls. Well, I got to tell you, fellas, for me, there's no greater satisfaction than to pull something like this out of the dead zone and turn it into a operating machine, whether it be a car, a tractor, whatever. I mean, that's the best for me. Doesn't get any better than that. Does it make sense? Probably not, but who cares? It's another machine doing what it's supposed to do. And I had fun doing it, and I hope you guys did too. So please subscribe if you want to, and I've got a lot of stuff planned. It's going to be fun. We'll see you next time. Thank you. Whew, it's hot out here.